All right, welcome everybody. Sorry about the change of venue here. I'm not sure if we're gonna have people in here tonight or not, but I didn't want to get all set up in there and then have to move, so. If band comes in, starts playing, we might get blasted out. I don't know. We'll do the best we can. Welcome, everybody. This is our second meeting, so got a pretty cool agenda, I think, tonight. Go through some things and get you out here. So I'll do some quick introductions. We have some new officials here tonight that I don't think have introduced themselves yet. So if we do, we'll have them just give a quick intro. I have a online game for us tonight. A little quick week in review from the previous week and even stuff from last year. Got a couple videos to take a look at. We're going to do a little experiment with penalty enforcement tonight. See how that goes. I have no idea how it's going to go. We'll find out. And then we'll do our drawing. So with that, just for anybody that's new or anybody that hasn't seen this, this is our board, our CSFOA board. I'm the president. Mark Bradley is the vice president. Secretary treasurer is Dean Rook. Dean is right there. You guys all pay him. And then member at large, James Pinnell, is over here selling the tickets. And the member at large, for anybody that doesn't know, if there's any concern that you have with the association, you don't feel like you can talk to, me or Mark or your crew chief, that's your guy. You go to James. That's what that position is for, is to kind of be your advocate. So, and then the assigner, Scott Samsel. I don't think Scott's here tonight. And then that's an unofficial board position. And then Mark Bradley is also our training director. I think most of you probably know that. That is also an unofficial board position. Before we move on, I'm just gonna let you know that the president position, the secretary treasurer, and the member at large are all seats on the board that are up for election this year. So if you have interest in becoming a leader in this organization, those are the three positions that are open. Mark Bradley's in the middle of his term. The president and vice president are always offset so that we have consistency in the area directors at the state level. So my position is ending. His has another, I think, 2 years on it. And then, so secretary treasurer and member at large are both open. All right. Do we have any new officials here tonight that did not introduce yourselves at the last meeting? Okay, Anthony, why don't you stand up? Just tell us a little bit about where you're from, what you do for a living, why you're officiating.
Well, I'm Anthony Roth. I'm from Fargo, so North Dakota. I got into town a couple of weeks ago and I've had a lot of help getting set up with rules books and whatnot. I'm about a year removed from officiating. I've officiated a couple of years ago for city of Minnesota. And I teach at Coronado High School, teaching French and German. And I really enjoy it. Like, out of all of the officiating I've done, I really enjoy working with the other guys wearing the same jersey. So I found it very beneficial to grow as a person and to understand, working as a team a lot better. So really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I understand you speak 4 languages. Is that true?
And Spanish, yeah.
4 languages and Spanish?
Yeah, well, Spanish is the fourth one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Who else? New official that hasn't introduced yourself. Okay, right here.
Brian Ortiz, came up from Texas, officiated some down there about 10 years ago. So getting reacclimated to officiating in general, but also to the rules changes. Everyone's been very helpful. Everybody I've worked an assignment with has been great. Happy to be here. Happy to continue getting reps and having a good time so far. So
cool.
Private car business, transportation business. So free a lot for fill-ins. If anybody has an assignment you can't make, shoot me a text. So.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, back here.
So my name is Richard Guy, originally from Michigan, but I've been in Colorado for 5 years, so not native, but. Senior audit manager of the accounting firm. And I guess why I want to be official, I just always like the game, and I just want to be a part of the team and camaraderie with you guys and everything like that. So,
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, Jordan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Louis. I'm originally from South Carolina, lived in Colorado for about 2 years now. Overnight stalker at Walmart, so I love those hours. The other anything during the day that I like. Pretty much. And I just really love the sport of football ever since a kid growing up. I was, watching the games and stuff. Basically teaching myself to move, and now I'm with the kids of the notes and paintings of everything, sort of for the learning, moving guys.
Excellent. Thanks, Jordan. All right. Yeah.
Travis Connors, from Montana, been here since '98, so kind of a non-day-to-day. I had football, just followed the game, and then just something to keep me busy in the afternoon, stuff. I own my own business for auto glass, so I'm like, he's available for any type of, maybe you guys need a filler or something for a game, let me know. I'm usually available in the afternoon evenings too. So, thank you for having me.
Great. Thanks, Travis. Anyone else? Great. Thank you. All right. It's quiz time. Scan that QR code. Last time I tried to run this on my phone, it didn't work very well. So we'll see what happens. Oh, it's not seeing. Wait for the presenter to start it. Sure. The only problem is I don't know if this is going to show on the screen. It is. You're in question 5. Okay. Starting. All right, so when we do a measurement, the line judge is gonna come out, drop a beanbag on the 5-yard line that the clip is on, and make it perpendicular to the ball, so when the head linesman comes out with the clip on the chain, he knows exactly where to set it down, then the stretch of the chain should be straight towards the football. So that's the line judge responsibility. All right. Nathan answered first. Okay, question 2. So in 5-man mechanics, we've got the back judge. When the ball snapped outside between the 10 and the 15, the back judge has got the end line and the goal line responsibility. So he's in kind of a tough spot, but the back judge has that goal line when we're snapped outside the 10. In a 4-man crew, obviously there's no back judge. Wings, you got to be a little more on your horse when you got snaps outside the 10-yard line. Nobody picked umpire. That's good. I'm really glad. Oh, you did? You missed the deadline? All right. Question 3. All right, so we got some B30s. So somebody tell us why that B30 isn't correct. Forward fumble out of bounds. So in 2025, that rule changed. A forward fumble that goes out of bounds returns to the spot of the fumble. Right? So if he fumbled at the 32 and the ball went out at the 30, that's a forward fumble. We're going to bring it back to the spot of the fumble. So what do we have at the spot of the fumble? Wings. We're going to drop a beanbag at the spot of the fumble. Could be anybody, right? But we're going to drop a beanbag at the spot of that fumble. If it goes out of bounds forward, we're going to bring it back to where that beanbag is. So what's the other thing that we're going to do, even though the ball went out of bounds? We're going to wind the clock when? On the ready for play, okay? Slim margin for Mr. Ferks. All right, question 4. All right, so penalties that also have an award of an automatic first down. How many are there?
4.
What word do they all have in them? Roughing. If it doesn't have roughing in it, there's no automatic first down. Okay. So we got roughing the passer, we got roughing the kicker, roughing the holder, roughing the snapper. So those are the only ones that have automatic. Anybody ever heard a coach tell you that they should get an automatic first down on a personal foul?
Yeah.
All the time? Yeah. Or other personal fouls, DPI. So those are all rules at different levels. Don't let anybody talk you into that. Okay, it has to be roughing for there to be an automatic first down in high school.
I don't know what the CA says.
No matter, regardless of what it says on the PA announcer. All right. Last question.
All right. 20-yard line in high school for all touchbacks, right? The other two answers are answers you would give at different levels. So college, pro have different rules than we do. This is another one you'll hear coaches complain about or ask you about. On all touchbacks, we come out to the 20-yard line. All right. Tim Ferks by the narrowest of margins. All right. Let's see, slideshow. Slide. All right.
Just go through these.
Yeah,
Would have already come up on the presentation.
yeah, you can sit through. Okay, so just kind of week in review. This is kind of year in review as well. I've got some stuff in here from last year. Every year across the state, we have players that are ejected for having two unsportsmanlike conduct fouls, which is the rule. But many of those turn out to be one of the fouls or more, one or more of the fouls turn out to be not unsportsmanlike conduct. So you'll get a personal foul that seems unsportsmanlike, and you'll sort of in your mind say, oh, that's unsportsmanlike that he shoved that kid to the ground. That anything that involves contact is a personal foul. All right, the only things that are unsportsmanlike conduct are going to be verbal stuff, taunting, non-contact types of fouls. All right, so just make sure when you're writing down the unsportsmanlike conduct, or you're reporting, hey, I've got unsportsmanlike conduct, make sure that it doesn't involve contact. All right. If they do something like shove somebody to the ground and call their mom a nasty name, okay, then they do have a personal foul. They've also got an unsportsmanlike foul, and we're going to go with the unsportsmanlike. We're not going to give them two fouls on that. We will go with the more severe one, and that would count as an unsportsmanlike conduct. That has to go in, that's going to go into the game report. All right. So you need to describe, anytime you do a game report, you need to describe these fouls. Okay. Because if you say, the second unsportsmanlike, he shoved the kid to the ground. All right. Chas is going to say, well, that's not an unsportsmanlike foul. He shouldn't have been ejected. And they're going to have to unravel that whole thing. All right. So when you put in your game report, you need to describe exactly what it was, exactly what he said. All that kind of stuff needs to go in the game report. Right? All right. Any questions about contact versus non-contact, or any other thoughts? Okay. Anybody ever had anybody throw a football at another player from the other team? Yeah. What is that, Mark? Because it's contact, right? It involves contact. I think the ruling that I understand from the state level is that is considered unsportsmanlike, even though there's contact with the football. So if you do have a player throw a football at another player, then go with the unsportsmanlike.
It's just like if you spun it in his face, it's still going to be unsportsmanlike. You tried to spin and you missed. Hit it.
Yeah. So that's the one where I think there's contact, but it's actually unsportsmanlike.
Same thing if he throws it at an official, aggressive one.
Oh, well, that's automatic.
First we had that kind of rule that talks about the pre-planned celebration
Oh, row in the boat or something?
That's exactly.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's what they did.
Okay.
And so we're able to give each player, sportsman like, so if they got another one out, we only enforce, 15 minutes.
All right, so I just cover this every year because it's an issue every year. It's not a big issue down here because we kind of beat the daylights out of this. Down here, other parts of the state, not so much. All right.
So Randy.
Yeah.
So throwing the football at an official is considered contacting an official, which is an automatic rejection.
Sure, we'll go with that. If a player threw a football at an official, I think that's worthy of an ejection.
Falls under contacting an official.
Yeah, intentionally contacting it.
Yeah, intentionally. Do we have, what's the reasoning? I just, it just seems backwards. You got physical contact and we're penalizing the non-physical contact more than physical contact. I just was curious what Chasta's reasoning.
That's the rule.
I know.
So it's not CHASA, it's
Well,
that's the
okay.
NFHS
Yeah,
rule.
okay, well, what's.
So if you could make sense out of a lot of what NFHS does, we might be able to make sense out of that. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that online? I didn't say.
You have to look at it this way. Football is a physical game. So contact is considered part of the game. Whereas the taunting aspect is not part of the game. And that's why it carries the.
Unless you're watching it on.
Good answer. Good.
Yeah, that's good.
I disagree with both those answers, because you can have as many personal fouls as you want, but only 2 unsportsmanlike. You're out. That's why it's more severe.
Then we should give it a first down.
You can always use the flagrant personal foul.
Correct you, Bruce.
There you go. All right. So I want to make sure that we all understand this. In high school, removing your helmet on the field is not a foul. I've had coaches try and talk me into that one. Hey, he took his helmet off in the end zone. That's unsportsmanlike conduct. No, not in high school. They do not call unsportsmanlike for a player simply removing his helmet on the field. Now, if he chucks it or does something else with it, that's a different story. He slams it on the ground. You could rule that unsportsmanlike, but just taking it off is not a foul like it is other places. When we do have unsportsmanlike, every crew member write down the number. Okay, and if you get the name of the kid, get the name, but everybody should write down the number. That way, if there is a second one, we have verification, validation, that is in fact that kid's second unsportsmanlike. We have backing for the ejection. If the referee's the only one that writes it down and he accidentally writes it down wrong and gets the number wrong or whatever, then we've got problems, right? So we want every crew member to write down the number of every ejected player or coach. Right?
Hey, Randy, can I hit you with a quick question on the first topic you covered here with the helmet coming off?
Yeah.
Now, if it's obvious that this player is pretty irate, they rip their helmet off on the field and say, he throws it down out there, that's obviously something that's in our lane that we can adjudicate if we feel it's worthy of it. But once they cross over their sideline, say they throw that helmet on their sideline away from the field,
Yeah.
should we just leave that alone and let the coaches handle that, or is that something we should still intervene with?
I would tend to leave that alone and let the coaches deal with it. It's probably much less visible. I think I would tend to let the coaches deal with that.
Makes sense.
I don't know if there's other opinions about that. That's just the way I would probably handle. So even if unsportsmanlike conduct fouls offset, so there's no yardage penalty, we're still assessing the unsportsmanlike because of the rule that if they get 2, that we've got an ejection. All right, so make sure if you've got offsetting unsportsmanlike fouls that you get all those numbers written down. If you do get a disqualification, just remember to get the player's name or the coach's name. You can look it up the next day in max preps most likely, but not necessarily, right? So If the coach is willing to give you the name, sometimes they're just so irate that they won't even give you the kid's name. Don't like cancel the game or whatever. Don't delay the game. Get it later, but just try and get the player's name that was ejected. All right. Any other questions? All right. So this one's on here today because this happened to me on Friday night and I didn't handle this correctly. So Rule 981L says a substitute leaving the team box during a fight receives an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty plus disqualification. So there's a couple bolded pieces of that. One is, well, and I probably should have highlighted substitute. And I'll tell you why in a moment. So if you've got a player that comes onto the field as part of a pushing and shoving match that you don't call a fight, you can't eject that player from coming onto the field. I misunderstood that. I didn't know that I had to call it a fight before we would eject someone from coming onto the field as part of that, whatever you want to call it, non-fight. All right. So that's point number one. Point number two is we had a water boy that was in like a sub-varsity jersey and shorts come running onto the field during a pushing and shoving match that was very close to a fight. Probably, maybe could have called a punch thrown. Kid comes running on the field. He comes all the way out to the action. He's taken part in the whole thing, then leaves. We get his number, report it. I eject that kid, even though he's not a substitute. And this is where I got the rule wrong. Because he wasn't a substitute, I should not have ejected him. He could have had an unsportsmanlike, but I shouldn't have ejected him. On two things. One, he's not a substitute. He's just some random kid. And it wasn't ruled a fight. So I don't know if anybody else would have thought, if you've got a pushing and shoving match that's going on 10, 15, 20 seconds, players are running onto the field, nobody ever throws a punch, that you don't eject those players, but that's the direction that I got in reporting this in my game report. So does that catch anybody else by surprise, or am I the only one? Okay, I see some nodding heads. Okay.
So you're not ejecting them, I understand that. Is it a personal foul? Is it unsportsmanlike?
It's unsportsmanlike. It is unsportsmanlike. Because
On
that
the
involves,
individual that did the action.
yes.
Even though
You just can't eject them by rule.
it's sportsmanlike, even though there's physical.
Well, I don't think he actually came out and
Oh, I think that he
started
was
pushing.
participating.
He was kind of right in it, right? But I
If he would have been pushing,
yeah, I would, yeah, I mean, you'd have the unsportsmanlike before you'd have the personal
Okay.
foul. So I think that we just go with that. In the back.
Yeah, so, you ejected them, you just stayed here, or they just came from.
Now, kids now can stay on the sideline. So even if they're a player and you eject a player, they are encouraged to stay on the sideline. They used to have to leave the sideline, but we don't want kids out there without adult supervision, so we want to allow the kids to stay on the sideline.
What about the water board, or maybe like somebody that's not just a player?
Same thing. He's part of the team. We need to keep him connected with that team. If we send him off, his parents may not be there. That would be a bad situation. So just give him the unsportsmanlike. Even if you eject him, let him stay on the sideline.
how did you penalize it?
Unsportsmanlike conduct and an ejection.
Oh, I'm just saying yardage wise.
Oh,
Were they, was it on both?
we had offsetting personal fouls, and then we had the unsportsmanlike on the offense. So, yeah, Brandon.
You have a pushing match.
Yeah.
Out on the field.
Yep.
You got players from the sideline coming in to join that pushing.
Yep.
There's no fight. One player throws a punch, now there's a fight on it. That changes the whole equation from what I'm hearing, or my.
Well, that was my question as well, Brandon, and I didn't get a super straight answer. I don't think it matters when the fight starts. Like, cause this says coming on during a fight, that means that the fight started before they came on, in my opinion, right? I don't think that's the intent. It's if there's a fight and they come off the bench, they're ejectable because there is a fight.
But by the letter of the rule, the way
Yeah.
it said it, the guys that are on the field when that first punch is thrown, by the letter of that rule, does not get ejected. The next guy that comes on after the punch is thrown does.
I don't disagree with you, and that was the same argument I made, and I got. Yeah, that's not what Chassa wants. Chassa wants to keep kids around more than they want them thrown out of games.
Well, that's
Right.
gonna keep more kids.
So this is great. This is grace. Yeah,
I think about the intent of the rule.
Yeah.
And I think intent wise, the hope is that no one leaves the team box.
Yep.
For anything, whether it's a fight or pushing or whatever.
Yep.
So I think you also need to keep that in mind. What is the intent of the rule? So if you left the team box, for some reason came onto the field, whether the fight started before or after you left the team box.
all I can say is I made all these same arguments in my emails and don't eject that kid.
Well,
All right, so that's probably enough on that. I'm just saying. To me, it doesn't fit the spirit of the rule, which is to try and keep kids from joining into whatever's going on the field. And punishing kids for doing that severely enough to where there's an actual deterrent for doing so.
last question, did they nullify your rejections?
I think so. I didn't get the kid's name. So that was the other thing I did. I screwed up. I didn't get the kid's name. So I said it was number 35 and it was a sub-varsity jersey. And I don't know that they ever even did anything with it. So. Yeah.
Let's say if anybody, team personnel could be an adult.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a
Train
trainer.
off the bench and makes contact with the player.
Yeah.
I'm disqualifying him, but that's a player. If the coach puts his hands on another player, it's the same as in your situation.
So the interesting thing about the wording of this rule, and I argue that there should be clarification within NFHS on this, is that could have been a trainer, that could have been anybody.
I was gonna say.
And the only one you can eject based on that rule is a substitute. If they're not a substitute.
You can big team anything flavor. Like,
Well, yeah.
Under the rules. I say the other thing about the substitute, be a little careful, because if it's fourth down, and the foot team's coming on the field, and then the fight's breaking out, they're not like, you gotta have to show some like defensive rule here. Those guys.
Yeah.
Coming on the field, just be
Sure. Okay, last question.
So I want to ask, kind of, hit that.
Okay.
So if you have like a situation where the coach is already having this play, and he's sitting by his substitute, fight breaks out.
If the intent of their substituting was to substitute, that's different than them being a substitute on the sideline and coming off the bench. If they were coming on the field to be a player, I would not call that a substitute leaving the bench. All right.
And Randy, like, the other thing that hasn't been mentioned is a fight does happen on the field. You have multiple players leave the bench, come on the field, but before they can even participate in any of the fight, coaches, officials stop them, get them back. We were told, do not eject anyone for that. They have to participate, come off the bench. The substitute has to come off the bench and participate for us to go to that level of ejection.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. If a player comes on the field and you say, whoa, 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 and he stops, okay, let him go. The coach does the same thing, says, hey, get off the field, and they turn around and go. If he walks on the field and is just standing there watching the action from a distance, don't eject, all right? They need to come on and get close to the action and or participate. And we're trying to keep kids in the game as much as we can, give them as much grace as we can. If they go to the point where they come in and they join right in, then we'll hold this out. All right. This is from last year, but just remember that unsportsmanlike conduct fouls are treated as dead ball fouls, even if they happen while the ball is live. Right? So if you've got a player running down the field, starts taunting at the 5-yard line and then runs into the end zone. All right, the touchdown counts, assuming there were no other fouls. And then you've got the unsportsmanlike foul for taunting is treated as a dead ball foul. Right? So just remember that it's always enforced from the succeeding spot. So don't bring a touchdown back for an unsportsmanlike foul and, place the ball at the 5-yard line or something, and then give him 15 yards from that. I've seen this already in my sub-varsity games this Saturday. NCAA football, no NFHS stamp on the football. Right, both teams had NCAA stamp on their football. They did not have NFHS. If that's the case and they don't have NFHS footballs, let them play with the ball and put it in your game report. All right. We're not going to stop a team from playing because they don't have an NFHS logo. When we put that in the game report, Chassa will follow up and make sure that they get that straightened out. Varsity level as well.
But the sub-varsity level, they don't do a season for anything.
Probably not. That's what I did. I just said, you guys need to get NFHS logos on your football and have fun playing the game today.
Hey, Randy?
Yeah.
Another thing to remember, a lot of times they'll have their 2 game balls, NFHS, but then they're kicking ball. I had a kicker who had NFL football, no lines on it. And that was his kicking ball. And we said, no, you're gonna have to use one of your game balls that is NFHS. So you might have a situation like that where you can't, if they don't have any balls NFHS, yes, like you said, let them play.
Right. So primarily when that's going to be an issue is when they come out for a kickoff. Back judge or the head linesman needs to go out and get the football from the kicker, and you need to look at it. Make sure that it's an NFHS football. If not, at least make sure it's an NCAA football. We don't want NFL footballs or, middle school footballs, junior size footballs, rubber footballs. All right, Tom Brady deflated footballs. All right, so yeah, just let them play on offense, but don't let them bring a kicking ball out that's not valid.
Balls are rubber balls.
Yeah.
The other thing to remember, speaking of kicking balls, had in my game yesterday, the team scores a touchdown, and now they're getting the wing to bring in their kicking ball and try. We don't do that.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
They can't bring a kicking ball on for a try. We've also had that.
Okay, after they pass on third down, bring in a kicking ball, put down. Right, we still have officials allowing stuff like that.
If it's an incomplete pass and you're getting a different ball on the field because of that, and they bring in their kicking ball, they happen to bring in their kicking ball, that's fine. They just can't make the change when they're going for their try. Or punting. They try and do it for punting as well. All right. Next. All right, we already talked about this, the forward fumble, that comes back to the spot of the fumble. We have already had a question. It didn't actually happen, but we had a question from a coach of an official that said, if we had a forward fumble that did not go out of bounds and was recovered by come back to that spot, the answer is no. Doesn't matter what down it is or anything else. There's no 4th down fumble rule in high school. All right, so if it goes forward and it's recovered in the field of play by the same team, that's where we mark the ball. All right, if it goes out of bounds, we're bringing it back to the spot of the fumble. If they fumble it from in the end zone, it goes into the field of play and it goes out of bounds. That's going to come back to the spot of the fumble, which is going to result in a safety. Right? Yeah.
They forward fumble past the goal line and the safety recovery.
If it hasn't gone out of bounds, then that would be a touchdown. If it goes into the end zone and then out of bounds, then you got a touchback. All right, back plates. Everybody sees the back plates coming up. You know, they're supposed to be covered. We should be reminding players to cover those back plates because it's got the molded plastic. This complaint is backplate messaging. So we've got teams that have got derogatory / nasty stuff printed on their backplates, all right? And we don't want that, all right? So if you see messages on the backplates, some kind of slogan or something like that, you know, obvious if it's, you know, CSCS and it's, you know, Jesus loves you kind of, you know, cross, we're probably not going to make a big deal if it's, you know, I'm going to kill your mom, right? That has to come off of that back plate, or they've got to get rid of the back plate. Covering it is not good enough because those shirts write up. So we don't want that kind of slogan, those kinds of writings on those back plates. All right. We could beat this to death, so I'm not even going to take any questions. We'll just leave it at that. All right, we talked about game reports. If you are a white hat and you do a game report, putting in an unsportsmanlike conduct foul and saying it was taunting is not enough. All right, you need to say what they did. They waved the ball in the player's face. They flexed over a kid after he made the tackle. Whatever, okay? Give description of what they did. If they said something, say what they said. Use exact words. It's okay. You know, use the exact words. All right. They want to know, and they want to have a record of what was done. Just to say there was taunting doesn't give them enough information to go follow up with it. And so be as explicit as you can on these, be as precise as you can when you're doing your game reports. All right. This is just a reminder for some varsity high school games. The rule is that they have a 10-minute halftime. And I goofed this up this weekend. I let them do a 7-minute halftime. We're supposed to give them a 10-minute halftime, even in sub varsity games. It's a safety rule. So it's like the 3-minute warm up, right? If we don't give them that full 3 minutes, kid goes out and gets hurt on the kickoff, we can be in trouble for not giving them their full warm up time. Same idea with the halftime, give them their full 10 minutes. It's only another 3 minutes at halftime. So don't shorten that 10 minutes. Yeah.
So 10 plus 3.
10 plus 3. Yeah.
Even after a 35-minute lightning delay.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a look at a couple plays. Did anybody get the email from Kirk Russell about renewing your Huddle subscription and all that? So if you did, you've probably seen this punt trickery play. But I'm going to review this because it's really interesting what happens in here. Okay, so this happens, and teams like Pine Creek love to do stuff like this. They're all deception plays. They'll come out and they'll run, they'll line, all these guys in here will have eligible numbers. They'll put maybe everybody on the line and then they'll back some off, or they'll put everybody off the line and then they'll have players step forward to make the formation legal. As a wing, that's just like terrifying because you're trying in a second or two trying to figure out who's eligible and who's not, right? In this particular play, these two interior linemen are gonna back off of the line of scrimmage, and they're gonna be in the backfield, theoretically eligible to catch a pass. Okay, so we need to talk through this a little bit as to what's going on and what we need to be prepared for. So go ahead and run this real quick. See the adjustments that they made. The snapper just touched the ball. Okay, so can you pause it? That's all right. Okay, so run it back. So this player right here is the one who ends up catching the ball. So if he had lined up like this, would he be eligible? Yes. So what makes this problematic? Using the numbering exception. So if you're a player in the game under the numbering exception, you must take your initial position between the ends, and you are ineligible throughout the down. Right? So when these two players walk up and they take their initial position on the line under the numbering exception, they can't ever become eligible.
Per the rules, when the snapper touches the ball. That's when they get, yeah.
It actually says that they must take an initial position between the ends and they are ineligible throughout the play. So there's the second part of that is once the snapper touches the ball, they're ineligible. But they've already been ineligible. So I'm not sure exactly why it's worded that way. But I think as soon as, even if that snapper had not touched that ball and they shifted back, the way I read that rule, they are ineligible because they're in the game under the numbering exception. Okay. So it was interesting. I saw that play. I've been thinking through this play. I've been putting this presentation together. And in my sub-varsity game this weekend, I was the referee. And I was really paying attention to the players that came out for the punt and they lined up on the line of scrimmage with eligible numbers. I just put it in my head. I said 4, 18, 22, and 37 are ineligible. I just put that in my head. I actually said it out loud to the umpire, AC. There was a couple other, I was just saying it out loud. To say those players are ineligible so that if they do some fake punt try, I've already got in my head, AC might have in his head, hey, we said 18 was ineligible. He just caught that pass. Now we can flag it. We can say, where'd that player come from? Oh, he initially had his position on the line. So that was just something I kind of learned this week. It was helpful as a wing. I have no idea what those numbers are. Right. And when those guys shift back into the backfield, I have no idea what their numbers are. And it might look funny, but that was just something that was helpful. Maybe that's helpful for some of you artists that can do the same thing. Question?
And then includes screen passes behind the line. They're eligible. But they can run ball for a handoff, right?
Right. Yeah, they can't catch a forward pass. It doesn't have to be a forward pass beyond the line of scrimmage. They can't catch a forward pass. Yeah.
So if they did the instance where they were off the line and then certainly stepped forward and they stayed back, that would be a different scenario.
That would be a different scenario. So if they all came up, I think if I understand your question, if they all come up and they lined up back here, and then the ineligibles step forward, that might leave those guys in the backfield okay. I guess the question in my mind would be, as I read that rule, did they take their initial position? Because they're still in the game under the numbering exception rule. So did they take their initial position on the line of scrimmage? Now, if they're a back, they're not participating in the numbering exception.
Yeah, they're not in there. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Numbering exception
Because they were never on the line. Right. So that's a different scenario. If they start off and then they have players step forward onto the lines.
But if they're doing something like that, right, and it's a trick ration and all that kind of thing, you're gonna be super strict on guys who are off the line or anything like that. And if there's somebody kind of in the gray area, it's a little.
And they've got to be, if they're gonna do trick plays like this, they gotta be perfect. So we're not gonna give grace on trick plays. Any other thoughts about this before I move on? It just really struck me this weekend when I saw this, and after doing this, I was making mental notes of the ineligible players as they lined up. And it really kind of helped. You know, they never try to fake punt. Actually, they did try to fake punt and they snapped it over the kid's head. So I was kind of looking forward to seeing what they did.
So on this play, we should have 3 flags, right? The 2 ineligible downfields and 1 illegal touching. The 2 guys.
Yeah, and then the illegal touching is the one we're gonna go with because that's the most, right.
But feasibly, you could have 3 flags.
Yep. All right. This is a play from Tim's game. Tim doesn't know I'm showing.
Didn't even know we had the film.
So this play gets really, really interesting in terms of what happens in the middle of the field. So in this formation with a back judge, whose key do I have highlighted? Back judge is key. We got balanced formation, we got strength to the line judge side, so the back judge has that one receiver. So who does the line judge have? He's got the 2 receiver on his side. So who does the H have? He's got 1 and 2 on his side, right? Okay, so we got all of these guys covered, at least initially. All right, let's advance this a little bit. Okay, so immediately, the back judge's key does an underneath route, goes straight across the middle. So is that back judge gonna stick with that guy? Because the number 2 receiver goes downfield, right? So what are we doing with that, back judges? We're gonna take that guy that's coming at us and going deep. We're gonna let this guy go, right? So now who should have eyes on that? The line judge, because he's gonna shift into that zone, right? We're gonna let our initial key go because he's going deep. We're gonna give it to the back judge, and we're gonna try and turn our focus to this guy going underneath. Just a minute.
I think I almost got killed on this one.
Yeah, you did. He runs right at you. So he comes underneath. So the line judge can pick that guy up. Okay, let's let this play a little bit more. All right. Where did that guy come from? He was a back, right? So he comes out of the backfield and now he comes into the line judge's zone. So which guy should the line judge be looking at?
Okay.
You got a defender right here with this guy, and you got that defender right there. So you're sort of like split, right? You got no help from the head linesman. Look where he's looking. Exactly where he's supposed to be looking. He's got 2 receivers downfield, right? Umpire is looking inside. This guy's got 2 guys. Okay, let it run again. See where the eyes are? The eyes are all missing this guy in the middle of the field. Watch what happens to him. Is that a legal block by that defender? That's not a legal block, right? That's illegal use of hands. Thank you, Mr. Encyclopedia. 9-3D. That is illegal use of hands. I would love to be able to see that. In this particular play, I don't know how we see that in 5-man group.
So, I mean, because I'm watching that blindside tackle and I see that, I pop that.
You could potentially see that hit right there, but you're You're supposed to be focused on blocks. Head linesman's looking downfield where he's supposed to be. Line judge took this guy that went into the flat out of the backfield. That guy going across the middle, we have a blind spot right there. From my perspective as a wing, that's a blind spot. If that guy doesn't come out of the backfield, then I say that's line judge's guy all the way. He's got to see that. But when that guy came out of the backfield and came into my zone, I don't know. If we see that, it's sort of by chance. I'm not saying that because we did anything wrong or we should do something different. I'm just saying, I think in this particular case, we've got a blind spot in the center of the field on those crossing routes. And we see a lot of those guys going across the middle, getting blown up by linebackers, and they're calling it rerouting the receiver, right? And those guys are getting blown up and we don't see it. So my preference would be if we can watch that as a wing, we could look in the middle for that kind of action right there. When we don't have another responsibility, that's what we should be focused on. If I'm going, oh, my cue is the 2 receiver, I'm gonna watch that guy run all the way down the field and ignore the stuff that's going on right in front of us in our zone. I think we're missing the kind of the idea of the key. We're looking for that key initially. If we can stay with him, we do. If we need to let him go, we let him go, and we focus back into our zone. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. You can just let that run and just see the guy. He actually gets up and catches the pass, which is kind of good.
Oh, this is the one.
So anyway, all right, next one. First is looking at his holding flag. Click out of it. Can you pause that and turn the sound on? I just let it play. Just go. Oh, we don't hear sound.
Yeah, no speakers.
All right. So I'm just gonna have to tell you what happens here. So this is a news clip, and Palmer Ridge goes down and catches the ball in the end zone. The announcer announces touchdown, number 20, whatever. Then the official comes on over the loudspeaker and says, on the play, pass interference on the defense, penalty is declined, touchdown. So some of you are cringing right now, and some of you are going, what's the problem? So what is the problem? Fouls on scoring plays are enforceable. Then A has the option to accept the result of the play and enforce the penalty on B, either on the try or the. Oh, I heard kickoff. That changed this year, right? So on the try or on the succeeding spot, which means if that was the last play in the game and that sent it into overtime, we could carry that penalty over into the first play in overtime, which we couldn't do before this year.
Well,
it's
try
Well, it's the try or the succeeding spot. The wording I don't think is perfect in the new rule, but
The intent is to try.
oh, did he? Okay.
He said he was on.
Okay, good.
What did James say?
James said that he did correct himself and they ended up getting the enforcement right. So that's good that they actually corrected it.
His crewmates probably.
It's very possible. It's kind of it's a very experienced crew. So I was kind of surprised, honestly.
Yeah, they were on the radio.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So that's why we have crew communication, because if we get something wrong like that, we need to get it right. That's good enough. All right. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time talking about penalty enforcement tonight. Sorry, this is the Randy show. Everybody else is out of town, so I'm just leading all of this, but we're gonna talk a little bit about penalty enforcement. I'm gonna do a little trial thing, kind of a scenario. And I don't know if it'll work at all, but we're gonna try it, see how it works. But we're gonna talk through a little bit of penalty enforcement. This is a super deep subject and we can do hours on this subject. But we've only got 30 minutes. So, penalty, does anybody, or does everybody get the, from Mark Bradley from The Art of Officiating, do you get his weekly dozen and his play articles? So did you see his article this week on penalty enforcement is a geometry problem? Okay, this is kind of where this comes from. The idea that you're trying to solve a problem and you're trying to do it systematically so that you get to the right answer, right? So I'm going to butcher everything that he said, and I'm just trying to do this in a way that works in this format. But hopefully we can come out of this with something useful. So as I thought about this, penalty enforcement is like solving a math problem, and this is kind of where Mark was coming from. It's like solving a geometry problem. You have to understand the knowns, so you have to understand the problem. You have to identify the variables. I'm just calling them observables. You have to apply the rules of mathematics, and then you find the answer. If you do that in some other order, your chance of goofing it up increase. Okay. So the other way that I kind of thought about this, it's like building a puzzle. So if you start with the border piece, you know, if you're going to put together a puzzle, the best way I've found to do it is to get all the border pieces, get them all connected, and then start filling in the pieces in the middle. Right. So similarly, I think if we start with the border pieces, we sort all the missing pieces, then we start to put the pieces into place, then we can see the finished product when that all happens. If we just randomly start trying to put pieces of the puzzle together, it probably doesn't work as well. It's probably going to take a lot longer to figure it out, and you might not ever get finished product. So I'm going to try and break these down a little bit, and just hopefully this makes sense. I would say we often make penalty enforcement more difficult than it needs to be. I think this happens to a lot of people on the tests because they give these scenarios with, you know, B35 hands off to 8, blah, 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 and it's on the B17 and all this stuff happens and you're just like, whoa, what is going on, right? And you're trying to figure out, oh, ball ended up in the end zone, you know, is it a safety or is it a touchdown? Is it a touchback? You're trying to figure all these things out. It's sort of like trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together before you understand the situation. I found personally doing the test, answering questions on the test, especially the playoff test, that if I break it down into the component pieces and start to build it, that I can get the answer pretty easily. If I just start poking at things, it's very difficult to get the right answer. Sometimes we just don't identify all the data points that we need to make a proper ruling. We try to jump to things too quickly. We let things like turnovers and, you know, the goal line and things like that, like capture our attention and take us away from building the puzzle and putting it together in such a way that we get the right answer. Sometimes we try to the answer on our own, and this I'm just thinking about on the field, like as a white hat, trying to come up with the answer all by yourself. You get, you know, the foul, and you try and in your own mind figure this whole thing out, and you're trying to do it in a way that doesn't take a bunch of time. you maybe rush through it, and you may get the wrong answer. So slowing down, talking through it, involving the rest of the crew, I find as a white hat helps. All right. So I'm gonna unpack these little examples real quick. So solve it like a math problem. First of all, make sure everybody, especially the R, understands the knowns. How many times have you as an R gotten an explanation of fouls and you don't even know what happened on the play, right? If you're an R, a lot of times you have no idea what happened on the play, especially on pass plays, sometimes on kick plays, running plays that go away and there's much action around your quarterback. You have no clue what happened on the play, right? And you shouldn't. So when somebody comes and reports to you that they've got a foul, you're like, wait a minute, what even happened? Like, was it a completed pass? Was it an interception? Was it a fumble? I have no idea. So I think the very first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we understand the results of the play. So if something happens, we can come to the white hat and say, hey, we had an incomplete pass right up front. And this is just me. Some white hats may want things in a different order. I'm just saying this is one way that I think helps build the situation.
Randy?
Yeah.
On that point, I find often, especially if the calling official also has a forced progress or something like that, that we don't officiate to the end of the play, and now we don't know what the result is. They come running in, report right away, nobody spots the ball. And so they come in, they say, I've got to walk back at number 17, great, what was the result of the play?
Start looking around.
So I encourage my crew to officiate to the end of the play, spot the ball, get somebody's covered if you're the calling official before we start talking about what foul you had and what the enforcement is going to be. Let's make sure we get the result.
Great point. Great point. In a 5-man crew, a lot of times that's going to be your back judge that's going to hold that end of the play. In a 4-man crew, you might need to get coverage by the umpire, the opposite wing, something like that, to make sure that we know what the end of the play was, because sometimes we have to go back to that end of that play. So let's make sure we don't lose that. So then we have the variables or the observables. What are the pieces of this thing that we need to put together in order to solve this problem? All right, so we need to know which team fouled and what the foul was. To complicate that even farther for new officials, we want to know the number of the players. Most of the time we get those, sometimes we don't. If we don't, apologize to the coach. Sorry, I didn't get the number. All right, but we do want to try and get the number of the player. That has nothing to do with penalty enforcement unless it's unsportsmanlike. So it's not critical that we have that. When did the foul occur? There's all kinds of possibilities about when the foul occurred. Was it during a live ball, while the ball was live, or was it after the ball became dead? During a loose ball play or a running play? Who can give me the definition of a loose ball play? Quickly. Somebody? Pass? Legal kick? Nope. Unless it's a fumble behind the line of scrimmage. All the action behind the line of scrimmage is part of a loose ball play, by definition. All right? So then a running play is everything else, right? So you got, is it part of a loose ball play? Was it a pass? Was it a legal kick? Was it action behind the line of scrimmage? If the answer to any one of those is yes, you have a loose ball play. If the answer to that is no, then it's a running play. Was it before a change of possession or after a change of possession? Did the foul occur while the ball was in player possession or while it was loose? This is why I said on a fumble, it's not a loose ball play necessarily. It's a loose ball, right? There's a difference between a loose ball play and the ball being loose, right? And was there a goal line involved? So sometimes there's special rules based on, if you're behind your own end zone line, or if you're in your opponent's, beyond your opponent's goal line. All right, so then where did the foul occur? Behind or beyond the line of scrimmage, or behind or beyond the end of the run or related run? So those are all, and that's not everything. Those are the majority of the things that we need to really contemplate. So if we can put those pieces together, and if I have a foul and I can come to the referee and say, hey, I had an incomplete pass. While the pass was in the air, I had pass interference on the defense. Number 57, whatever. All right, now I've started to break that down, and I've put a picture in his mind of the result of the play. We know it was a loose ball play, and we know that we had pass interference. So now we can start to piece things together. It gets complicated if you've got more than one foul. But if we start from there, then we can start to figure this out. Then we have to apply the rules. So once we understand all the result of the play, all of the variables involved, now we've got to apply rules. There's no substitute for knowing the rules. You can observe the scenario. You can observe what happened during the play. If you don't know the penalty enforcement rules, then knowing all of that other stuff doesn't matter a whole lot. Because you've got to know basic spots, and you've got to know, the distances for, given penalties. And if you've got multiple fouls and double fouls and all of that, there is no substitute for knowing the rules. Does everybody know every single rule? I would say that would be very difficult. But in a crew of 5 or a crew of 4, we might be able to put together all of the rules, correctly, to be able to say, given this situation, this is how we're going to penalize this play. All right. So once you come to the conclusion where you think the application of the rule, penalty, and you find the announcer, I like to say it to at least one other official. I say, so we've got an incomplete pass. We got a foul during a loose ball play. Therefore, the basic spot is the previous spot. So we are going to go 15 yards from the previous spot on this penalty. And I say that to at least one other player. And hopefully I get yeah, that sounds right to me. No, the umpire don't know anything. So no, it's usually the umpire, but usually a lot of times you'll have a wing there. But I want to say that out loud, the way that I would announce it to the crowd, to my crew, so that they can say, oh, wait a minute. What about whatever, right? If I don't get any pushback on that, then I think I've got a pretty good ruling, and I'll go and I'll say it over the microphone, or I'll at least say it loudly to the sideline so they know what's going on. If I remember, I like to say to the coach what when the clock is going to start or whatever. Okay, so that's when we get to show off the answer.
I was gonna add, then the next thing that White Hat wants to know is the down, achieve a first down or not, is it gonna be third down, is it leading the down? That part, and then that's.
Yep. Good. Yep. That's good. All right, so same thing, we're just gonna solve this like a puzzle. So we're gonna take, and we're gonna put the border together. So I'm gonna say,
Oh, I wasn't.
oh yeah, solve it like a puzzle. So it might be a 3-piece puzzle, it might be a 20-piece puzzle. You get flags flying all over the place, and you got turnovers, and you got touchdowns, and you got blah, blah, blah. It gets complicated really fast. But if you build your border, which starts with, to me, what's the result of the play, right? Then we sort all the pieces. We do the who, what, when, where. What foul? What team fouled? What was the foul? When did it occur? Was it live ball, dead ball? We go through all those same things. So we kind of get all the pieces aligned up so that we got colors together and we kind of get a picture of what's going on. Then we start to piece it together. And then we apply the rules. We start to put the pieces into the puzzle. Puzzle starts to come together, start to look pretty good. We put the final piece in. Now we've got our answer. Now I'm going to say to my crew again, this is what I think we have. What do you think? So if they agree, then I'm going to go and I'm going to display my piece of art, my finished puzzle, by announcing it to the fans, the coaches, the players, as to what it is that we're going to do with this penalty. All right. Any thoughts or questions before we do this last piece? Yeah.
So I do have one suggestion. This came up last year in the playoffs in the final game. The crew that we had, kind of to your point, like you said, hey, I'm like, sure, then you do another official, right? I dare you to get into the habit. If there's a penalty out there, get on the radio. When you're talking to the umpire or whoever you're talking to, allow everybody to hear what's going on at the same time. So that way we happen to hear something around, there's two people, like, if you're singing up or something like that. Plus, you know how it is on the wings.
You never know what's going
on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just try it. When you're talking to your, whoever it is, just hold the radio, just let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah.
Just one suggestion.
Thank you for bringing that up. I actually do that with my crew, and I don't always remember to open the mic when I'm talking through. But that is very helpful. If I'm a wing and the referee does that, he opens his mic while he's discussing penalty with the other people. I know exactly, as that wing that wasn't involved, I know exactly what's going on. That is very helpful. Thank you for bringing that up. So the other thing about the radio is what I like to have my crew do is when they first report their penalty, that they say it into the mic as they're coming to report it to me, so that the whole crew knows I've got DPI or I've got OPI or I've got holding on the defense. So it's just quick. I got holding on the defense. Then they know what the flag is for. And then when the discussion's going on, holding that mic open, I agree with you 100%, Brandon. I find that really valuable. So, try it. If you don't like it, that's completely a preference thing. But I really do like that. All right. I'm going to hand out. So this is my experiment. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to hand these out, and I want you guys to get in groups of three people. So in these scenarios, I've got a referee, I've got an umpire, and I've got a wing or a back judge. So what we're going to do is you're going to watch a play, and my scenario here doesn't necessarily fit what happened in this video. So I'm making stuff up, but it's potential stuff that could have happened as part of this play. All right. So I'm going to pass these things, or can you guys find a way to group up into three people where you might have an R, a U, and a line judge or a back judge?
Honestly, numbers 1, 2, 3. R would be a 1.
That's fine. That's fine. This might be the hardest part of this whole thing. Are you guys good? Join in. What are we actually? If you have more, you're doing stuff.
It's going back to
During the return.
No, they're good.
Okay, so I don't want the R, sorry, I forgot to say this, I don't want the R's to look at this. If you're the R in your group, don't look at this, don't look at the scenario. I want your partners to, I want your partners to explain what's going on to you. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna watch, just watch this play. This is another play from Tim's game that he doesn't know that I'm watching. Okay, so watch this play, and then the non-Rs, look at your scenario and look at the penalties that you have in this play, and then you guys have to figure out what the result is gonna be for your scenario. Okay? Tim's on his horse.
Go to the right.
Where's Tim? We lost Tim. Oh, there he is. Okay, so that's the play. Now, with that in mind.
Yeah.
No back shot back there. There's nobody to punch.
He didn't give signal J.
I have responsibility for the goal line. So I'm gonna punch it.
So you're supposed to get the goal line then.
All right, leave Tim alone. Okay, so go through your scenario with your group, talk through your penalties and figure out what you're gonna do with it.
What's that? It's a block. So I know I'm not fast. I'm fast for my size. I know I'm not fast. And I'm gonna start playing again for my own. Like here. I see this guy get the ball on the one, and I immediately start running.
Yeah.
And it's just like, immediately he's 20 yards in front of me.
I just looked at it. You had like a 10 to 15 yard head start.
Right.
Yeah.
What scenarios did you have? Oh, everybody has a different scenario.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 scenarios. So we're gonna go through the 3 scenarios.
Okay. Interesting. Would you? Wait for it.
Okay, a couple more minutes. Right. Hopefully you figured this out. The crowd is waiting to see your artwork.
Not in high school.
All right, can you flip to scenario one?
I'm not worried about it.
All right, who has scenario one that wants to tell us what they ruled on it? We got a scenario one over here. We're not gonna have, not everybody's gonna be able to tell us what they came up with, but if you came up with something, if you had scenario one and you come up with something different than they did, then let's talk about it. Okay, so scenario one, the headlinesman calls case seven, who was that wing on the far side, for holding before the kick was made. Okay, so this is on the rush. After R recovered the kick, U calls R74 for a blindside block at the R20. And then after crossing the goal line, the R calls unsportsmanlike conduct on the kick returner for spiking the ball in the end zone. All right. So what did you guys come up with?
Broke it down, different plays, the kicking play, the running play.
Okay.
And,
So you had a kick, you got a loose ball play to start with. And then you had a running play after that.
it was a change of possession. And so we got to determine that the team get the ball, with, clean hands.
Okay.
And we said, okay, they did. So now, in order for them to have that ball, they would have to define the holding that we had, that is running play. Then the running play going down, we realized we had the penalty before the score.
Okay.
And so we're gonna go back and enforce the penalty, so the score doesn't happen. But the unsportsmanlike conduct after the score, we're gonna enforce at the very end of it. So that was where we come back to the 20, enforcing, penalties and do things from there. And so it's the team that returned the kick still have the ball.
Okay.
And there will be no scores.
So R's first foul was after the turnover. They got the ball with clean hands. So K fouled before that. So in order for R to retain the ball, they have to decline that first penalty, right? Okay. So then we have a foul during the return. He scores a touchdown, but we're going to bring that back to where are we going to bring that back to, guys?
So we're gonna go from the 20 half the distance from ESP. And we're gonna go half the distance from the sportsmanlike, so the first and 10 on the 5-yard line, on the
Okay.
5-yard line.
Okay. Yes.
So the blindside block and the unsportsmanlike conduct. You do march them off to one flag instead. They don't offset.
They're both on the same team.
And you gotta get the number.
So you've got a 15-yard penalty from the 20 for the blindside block, which is we're gonna go half the distance, so we're gonna go to the 10. And then we've got an unsportsmanlike conduct that is enforced as a dead ball foul. So that's from the succeeding spot. So we're gonna go another half the distance from the 10 to the 5, correct? Okay, any other scenario ones that thinks that's wrong? Okay,
I was gonna say, make sure all 5 of you write down the number of the player when you're supposed to.
yes, write down the number of the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Okay, scenario 2. Who has scenario 2? Okay, AC, your group. Rob, you're gonna talk first?
They reported to me, so
Okay.
she had some type of kicking play. We've got 2 fouls, got one on R, and we've got one on K. They're both live ball fouls. So we broke that down. So we know that even though one of them is an automatic first down, that's not gonna matter because they're both still gonna offset the 2 live ball fouls. And then we have a dead ball foul after the play, unsportsmanlike on ours head coach. We're gonna enforce the UNS on R, wherever we're at on the field, it could be half the second. And we're going to replay the down.
Yes.
What if that's the first, infraction by the coach?
Well, let's not get into that. That's a whole other can of worms. But now we've got a scenario where our fouls before they got possession. Right, you got roughing the snapper, and that's before the turnover. So they don't get the ball with clean hands in this scenario, right? Then during the return, K gets called for a penalty. So we got 2 live ball fouls, those are gonna offset. Right? And then you got the unsportsmanlike conduct on ours head coach. So coming back to what? Previous spot, the penalties are gonna offset, the live ball fouls are gonna offset. What are we doing with the down?
So this is the one where I got stuck, is that roughing, we thought it was automatic first down, but if they offset, the roughing goes away, you play it down.
Correct.
We're like half of this.
So we're gonna replay the down, which I think was 4th down. Right? And we've got one more thing to do, which is enforce unsportsmanlike conduct, which is a dead ball foul, enforces a dead ball foul from the succeeding spot, which is the previous spot. And then we're gonna go replay 4th down.
Unless I got a first.
Unless it resulted in a first down. Very good. Okay. Cool. Anybody disagree with that? Okay. All right, scenario 3, last one, then we're done. Who has a scenario 3 that they want to? All right.
Okay, so at snap, headlines and calls and moving formation. So, this play is running, so it's a live play. It's, on the kicking team. And then during the kick, there's a return. There's a block. Okay? So it returns back to the 30. So the defense got the ball with clean hands. Goes back to the 30 while it running into the end zone. There's Thompson at the 5. So the way we came up with it is that it is the defense's ball. However, the ball will come back to the 30. And then from the 30, we would enforce the Thompson.
Who's the foul on during the return?
I'm assuming it's on the team that blocked it and is returning. He calls during the return.
K-45 is the fouling player.
Oh. Okay.
So, what's that?
We had a touchdown.
Yeah, so the play scored.
So we had it wrong. We had to
Okay,
do
yeah,
that.
that's fine.
So it's not at the K-25.
Who else had this scenario? So what did you guys come up with?
They have a touchdown.
Okay, so the result of the play was a touchdown.
Yep. We're gonna mark off, 2 fouls, 6 on the kickoff. We're gonna mark off the block in the back. And then on the try, we're marking off the unsportsmanlike conduct. It's a dead ball foul.
There's a live ball and a dead ball.
Right.
Well, there's two live. So what are you doing? What are you doing when you have multiple fouls?
Single formation is probably gonna be.
It'll be declined.
Right, they're gonna take the bigger foul. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got a touchdown. Then what's the choice? What's the choice for R? What's the choice for R?
R can have it on the try or the succeeding spot with the UNS.
Okay,
The block in the back can be enforced at the try because it's on.
okay, so then what about this last foul here where?
That can be enforced on the try or the succeeding spot.
Right, so now we've got
So we could have, an offsetting, right?
We've got a choice for each team as to where they want to enforce this from,
We
right?
could have an offsetting at the try.
So I just want to make sure that I heard that. I mean, R can choose, our return team who scored the touchdown can choose on the try or the
Succeeding.
succeeding spot.
Right.
Because it's a dead.
And then A has that same,
K has the same opportunity.
but R makes the choice first.
R makes the first choice.
Is it based on the order of fouls? Who gets the choice?
No, it's the team in possession. The
Okay.
team that scored gets the first choice.
And what about, isn't live ball always enforced before dead ball?
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that the scoring team gets to pick which live ball foul. The first foul happened before the change of possession. That can't be carried over onto a scoring play.
True.
So they can only enforce the blocks in the back.
Yeah, good. Yeah. They, in fact, they have to decline the first penalty in order to keep the ball.
Correct.
Right, okay. Good. All right. I don't know if that worked or not, if that was good, but I thought it was kind of fun. All right, cool. 50-50 raffle drawing. After we do that, take the chairs over here. They don't want the chairs stacked above that red line. Okay, here we go. It's gonna be something.
I think 034.
034 on your ticket. 034.
Hey, no way.
Zach.
We got ticket 034. You know. That got me a signal over here. No. Oh, no.
Take care, Patrick. Do I gotta respond. I've got.
I never heard of it. They were gonna do this.
Exactly.
I don't know if there's a good time to get sick.
Well, for him, there definitely is not. But if there's a bad time, then that is the bad time.